Welcome friends to another most interesting video of FxYogi. In today's video, let's learn how to trade Forex on news releases. Before developing a trade the news strategy, we have to look at which news events are even worth trading. You want to be able to answer which news releases should I trade. Forex traders should familiarize themselves with the key event risks that heavily impact the major currencies. Remember that we are trading the news because of its ability to increase volatility in the short term. So, naturally, we would like to only trade news that has the best market moving potential for the currency market. The news that tends to drive price action and produce volatility usually involves changes in central bank policy, monetary policy, shifts in government policy, fiscal policy, unexpected results in economic data releases, random tweets from a certain world leader who likes to put his name on tall buildings. Being aware of upcoming key event risks can help avoid being on the wrong side of the market. How to find events that produce volatility? The babypips.com economic calendar highlights the important events and economic data that are being released by the countries with the most popularly traded currencies. The number of events scheduled can reach over 100 on any given week. Trying to sift through so many events can be a pain in the butt. Luckily for you, our economic calendar makes it easy to identify the relative importance of each specific event. In our economic calendar, you have the ability to filter event listings by impact. For example, by selecting only high, the economic calendar will only display the events that have historically been known to produce market volatility. If you spend some time exploring the economic calendar, you will start to notice that the most important events usually relate to changes in interest rates, inflation, and economic growth, like retail sales, manufacturing, and consumer sentiment. Here are some examples: interest rate decisions by central banks, inflation, CPI, PCE, and PPI, employment data, unemployment, wage growth, economic growth, GDP, retail sales, industrial production, business sentiment surveys, manufacturing sector surveys, consumer confidence surveys, housing data, sales and construction, trade balance. Different countries may use different names for similar data, but we try to point out in the economic calendar. Depending on what's currently happening in the calendar, the relative importance of this event may change. For example, interest rate decisions may be the main focus during a certain time, while during a different time, it will seem like nobody cares. This is why it's important to stay informed and know what the market is focusing on at the moment. Pay special attention to news from the US. While the markets react to most economic news from various countries, the biggest movers and most watched news come from the US. The United States is still considered the world's most powerful country, whether it's in the domain of military affairs, geopolitics, industry, energy, science, culture, and technology. It is even described as a financial superpower. Even if its position has been eroded by setbacks, imbalances, and weaknesses, the strength and influence of the US dollar will not be matched anytime soon. The United States still has the largest economy in the world, and the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. This means that the US dollar is a participant in about 90% of all Forex transactions, which makes US news and data important to watch. With that said, let's take a look at some of the most volatile news for the US. In addition to inflation reports and central bank speeches, you should also pay attention to geopolitical news such as pandemics, wars, natural disasters, political unrest and protest, upcoming elections. Although these may not have as big an impact as the other news, it is still worth paying attention to them. When our economic nerd, Forex Gump, is in a good mood, he usually releases an article on upcoming news reports that you can play and with trade strategies to boot. Also, keep an eye on moves in the stock market, especially the US stock market. There are times where sentiment in the equity markets will be the precursor to major moves in the currency market. Now that we know which news events make the most moves, our next step is to determine which currency pairs are worth trading. That's all for today. Let's catch up in the next video with more interesting content. Until then, take care. Bye bye.